When the Jenkins family's beloved dog, Buddy, disappears during a stormy night, their lives are thrown into turmoil. A year later, Buddy miraculously returns, but something about him is different, something demonic. As strange and terrifying events unfold, the family must confront the dark forces that have taken hold of their loyal companion. Join us in this chilling tale of supernatural horror, where love and courage are tested in the face of unimaginable evil. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories.
The Jenkins family lived in a cozy house at the edge of town, surrounded by thick woods. The family consisted of Mike, the father, Sarah, the mother, and their 2 children, Emma and Jack. They also had a loyal dog named Buddy, a golden retriever who was the heart of the family. Buddy was known for his friendly demeanor and boundless energy, always eager to play with the kids or go for long walks with Mike. One stormy night, as thunder roared and lightning split the sky, Buddy started to act strangely. He paced the house, whining and scratching at the door. Mike tried to calm him down, but Buddy seemed determined to go outside. "What's gotten into you, boy?" Mike asked, trying to soothe the dog with gentle pats. Despite their efforts to keep him inside, Buddy bolted out the door when a strong gust of wind blew it open. The family called out for him, but the storm drowned out their voices. They searched for hours in the pouring rain, but Buddy had vanished into the night. The next morning, the storm had passed, but Buddy was still missing. The family put up posters, contacted neighbors, and even called the local shelters, but there was no sign of their beloved dog. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Buddy never returned. The Jenkins family was heartbroken, but eventually, they began to accept that Buddy was gone for good. A year had passed since Buddy's disappearance, and the Jenkins family had slowly started to move on with their lives. However, the memory of Buddy lingered in their hearts, and the house felt emptier without his joyful presence. They had even gotten a new dog, a small terrier named Max, but he couldn't fill the void left by Buddy. One evening, as the family sat down for dinner, they heard scratching at the front door. Mike opened it cautiously, and to their astonishment, there stood Buddy. He looked different, thinner, with a strange, almost unsettling glow in his eyes. But it was unmistakably him. "Buddy, is it really you?" Sarah cried, tears of joy streaming down her face. The children ran to hug their long-lost friend, their excitement barely contained. Buddy wagged his tail and licked their faces. There was something off about his demeanor. His eyes seemed to follow their every move with an intensity that was almost human. Despite the oddities, the family was overjoyed to have Buddy back. They assumed his strange behavior was due to whatever he had experienced during his time away. They gave him extra attention and care, hoping he would soon return to his old self. The initial delight of Buddy's return gradually gave way to a growing sense of unease. Buddy's behavior became increasingly erratic. He would growl at seemingly nothing, baring his teeth and bristling as if seeing something unseen. At night, he would stand at the foot of Emma's bed, staring at her with those glowing eyes, which made her feel uncomfortable and scared. Mike and Sarah tried to reassure the children, insisting that Buddy was just adjusting to being back home. They speculated that he might have faced some traumatic experiences that caused his unusual behavior. However, Buddy's actions grew more concerning. He started to act aggressively towards Max, the new dog, often growling and snapping at him without provocation. One day, Emma found Buddy in her room, growling at her favorite stuffed animal, which had been shredded to pieces. "Dad, there's something wrong with Buddy," Emma said, her voice trembling. "He's not the same." Mike knelt down and hugged her. "I know, sweetie. We'll figure it out. Maybe he needs to see a vet." Despite their efforts to rationalize Buddy's behavior, the family's sense of unease continued to grow. They couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong with their once-beloved pet. Emma began noticing other strange things about Buddy. He seemed to be everywhere, watching her and her friends with an eerie intensity. It was almost as if he could understand their conversation. One afternoon, while playing in the yard, Emma's friend Lily pointed out Buddy's unnerving stare. "Why does your dog keep staring at us like that?" "It's creepy," Lily said. "I don't know. He's been acting weird since he came back, Emma replied, glancing nervously at Buddy. That night, Jack woke up to find Buddy sitting in the hallway, his glowing eyes fixed on him. The sight sent chills down Jack's spine. He tried to ignore it and went back to sleep. But the next morning, he found deep scratch marks on his bedroom door, as if Buddy had been trying to get in. Emma decided to confide in her mother about Buddy's strange behavior. "Mom, I think something's wrong with Buddy. He scares me sometimes." Sarah sighed, knowing she couldn't ignore her children's concerns any longer. "All right, we'll take him to the vet and see if they can help." However, even the vet couldn't find anything physically wrong with Buddy. He suggested that Buddy might be suffering from a psychological issue due to his time away. The family hoped that with time and love, Buddy would return to his old self. As weeks passed, the strange incidents continued to escalate. Objects around the house started moving or disappearing altogether. Sarah's favorite vase shattered without anyone touching it. Family members began experiencing vivid nightmares, often featuring Buddy in menacing forms. One evening, Mike came home to find Buddy in the living room, staring intently at a flickering candle. The flame danced in Buddy's eyes, reflecting an unnatural, sinister glow. Mike felt a shiver run down his spine. "Sarah, something's really wrong with Buddy." "I think we need help," Mike said, his voice filled with concern. Sarah nodded. "I agree. But what kind of help do we need?" Emma, who had been listening from the hallway, spoke up. "I read about people who can help with strange things like this. Maybe we should find someone like that." Desperate for answers, the family decided to reach out to a local priest, Father Thomas, who was known for dealing with supernatural occurrences. Father Thomas visited the Jenkins home, bringing a sense of hope and calm. He listened to their story and examined Buddy, who growled and snarled at the priest's touch. "This is not just a troubled animal," Father Thomas said gravely. "There's something darker at work here." Emma's research had led her to stories of pets being possessed by malevolent spirits, and she shared these findings with Father Thomas. He nodded, acknowledging the possibility. "We must perform a ritual to cleanse Buddy. It will be dangerous, but it's the only way to save him," Father Thomas explained. That night they prepared for the ritual. Candles were lit, and holy water was sprinkled around the room. Father Thomas began chanting prayers, and Buddy's growls turned into agonized howls. The air grew thick with tension, and an oppressive darkness seemed to fill the room. As the ritual intensified, Buddy's form contorted, and his eyes glowed brighter. Suddenly, a deep, guttural voice emanated from Buddy, startling everyone. "You cannot banish me so easily. I am bound to this place by blood," the voice snarled. The family's fear reached a peak as Buddy's body twisted unnaturally, and the demonic presence revealed itself more clearly. Father Thomas continued his chants, determined to drive the evil out. The demon within Buddy laughed mockingly, and in a voice that was a twisted mix of Buddy's and something far darker, it spoke. "You fools! It was one of you who brought me here." The room fell silent, and the family looked at each other in shock and confusion. The demon's revelation sent a chill through their hearts. Jack, pale and trembling, stepped forward. "I found an old book in the attic last year. It had strange symbols, and I tried one of the spells. I didn't mean for this to happen," Jack confessed, tears streaming down his face. The truth hit the family like a wave. The dark ritual Jack had unknowingly performed had summoned the demon, binding it to Buddy. Father Thomas's face hardened with resolve. "We must finish this now," he said, intensifying his prayers. The room filled with a blinding light, and the demon's screams echoed through the house. The family joined hands, supporting each other as Father Thomas completed the exorcism. With one final, agonized howl, the demon was expelled, leaving Buddy's lifeless body lying on the floor. The family stood in stunned silence, mourning the loss of Buddy once more. The house felt emptier than ever, the shadow of the recent events lingering in the air. Father Thomas comforted them, assuring them that the demon was gone for good. Jack was racked with guilt, but his family embraced him, understanding that he had not known the consequences of his action. They vowed to move forward together, stronger and more united. In the days that followed, they cleaned the house, getting rid of the old book and anything that might have held a trace of the dark presence. They held a small ceremony for Buddy, burying him in the backyard under his favorite tree. As they stood around Buddy's grave, they felt a sense of peace and closure. The ordeal had brought them closer, and they knew they would never forget the lessons learned from the terrifying experience. In the end, the Jenkins family emerged from the darkness, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced together. They would always remember Buddy, not just as a beloved pet, but as a guardian who had fought to return to them, even in his darkest hour.